of the things that was so satisfying about Civil War was, of course, the Black Panther. People came out of that movie going, I want to know more about that character.
You want the wow factor, but it's not just stuff blowing up. It definitely is a character piece.
What happens now determines what happens to the rest of the world.
Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created Black Panther in the early 60s, and he's been a staple of Marvel Comics 50-plus years.
He's an interesting character that is going to be such a different thing for the audience on the screen. I couldn't see the Black Panther living on a side street in New York. I love the idea of a superhero who lives in Africa.
He has to look out for an entire nation. That's a responsibility that other superheroes don't commonly have.
Even though he's the head of a tribe, he's a hell of a lot more than that. As his powers begin to unfold, that will be a lot of fun.
Don't freeze.
I never freeze.
I'm super excited about an African king who's also strong enough, fast enough, smart enough to do some of the things that T'Challa's gonna do in this script.
There's something very special about him.
People can see a superhero in a different light, different worldview.
So, this is not a goodbye, only a see you later. As a wrap for me on Infinity Wars. Couldn't be more excited to see how they put this together. I'm very excited. I'm also excited to go home and see my baby.
Hey everybody, we got a whole bunch of new Black Panther and Avengers 4 to talk about. And I'm wondering if it has something to do with the actual title for Avengers 4, which Kevin Feige has said has been blown out of proportion. Like, he said that it's not going to blow everyone's minds. It's just that for non-comic book readers, it could potentially be a spoiler, and it's kind of confusing. But if you're a big comic book reader, then you already probably have a pretty solid idea of what the story's going to be and how it's going to play out with the resolution of the Infinity Gauntlet saga. So if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get everything. There's also new Black Panther they confirmed that they're going to be dropping next week too. This is mostly meant to be behind-the-scenes stuff, and I like the way that Kevin Feige has been appearing in all these featurettes that they've been posting lately. Like, Black Panther is freaking amazing, so of course everybody wants to know more about him. Stan Lee's like, oh hell yeah, he was awesome when I introduced him back during the 60s. So you see a couple different comic book covers, like you see Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Black Panther, then you see hardcore Blades, Marvel Knights, Black Panther, which might be a tip-off for what's going on with the Golden Jaguar costume and some of its hidden functions, because it looks very similar to the Marvel Knights Black Panther costume than the more modern retelling. So there's a couple different versions of his origin story that they've told. There's the early mid-2000s version, which is what this panel's from. Then there's obviously the more recent stuff. The more recent stuff is really where you should start if you're brand new to the character, showing you how much cooler the technology is, the culture, than anything that you would find in like New York City. Stark has some really cool stuff, but not every single piece of his technology makes it to all the different labs in the way that all of the technology of Wakanda is hardcore advanced. The really big scenes that you see pieces of during this are from the big action scenes. So obviously there's Warrior Falls, which goes all the way back to Stan Lee, Jack Kirby era. There'll be a lot of Stan Lee in this, but the Marvel Cinematic Universe is mostly influenced by what they did visually with the first Iron Man movie. It's more of a tech-based universe like they did Spider-Man Homecoming, instead of them being mutants or actual animals that are more tech-based. So like the Vulture doesn't actually have vulture wings. He just has a mechanical flight suit. So a lot of that trickles into Black Panther, but part of the big deal with Black Panther from a design standpoint is in being completely different than anything you've seen before. So visually, it's still very tech-based. This is where you're starting to see a lot of the fusion of culture, technology, and what that looks like when they've been completely isolated from any sort of outside influence. All the crazy weaponry and the armor that you see during the big fight scenes are the best example of that, like very tribal influence, but with the level of something that you would see in an Iron Man movie. But something that you don't see in any of the trailers, and it's actually kind of funny, is that they have their own version of the internet. What would be more isolating than being completely disconnected from the World Wide Web and having your own self-contained version of that they access with these special beads? They look like ceremonial beads, but they're actually super advanced. But like they have the giant cloaking field, so there's a lot of passive technology that you need certain things to access while you're in Wakanda. But they'll probably have some funny way of showing it to you during the movie. Almost everybody gets upgrades. Some of the characters are getting vibranium upgrades. Maybe not everybody though. But getting into Avengers territory, so that Jeremy Renner clip, he's basically wrapped on Avengers 4. There's still a couple characters that are probably filming scenes because there's so many of them. He says gone, but it's more like see you later, meaning that he will come back in another movie. It doesn't confirm that he survives Avengers 4 because he is pretty high on my death predictions list, but it does mean that he's not gone forever in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So of all the people that are re-signing contracts that need to right now, like Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, now Jeremy Renner, just add him to the list of people that are definitely coming back if they can for more Marvel movies. Now, I know a lot of people are asking about Hawkeye's spin-off movie. Don't worry about any of that. When I say coming back into another Marvel movie, he'll probably show up in somebody else's movie first, because most of the main Avengers aren't getting fourth films in Phase 4 as far as we know. The Guardians are getting their third film. If any of them get a film all by themselves in Phase 4, it'll probably be Thor, because Taika Waititi said that he definitely wants to come back to do another Thor film, and they made so much money on Ragnarok. But here's the other thing that he implies. You may have caught it at the end, and Anthony Mackie kind of did the same thing too. And if only one actor had been doing this, then it might have seemed like a mistake that they were making. But when multiple actors say the same thing independent of one another, it just makes you double take. So he said Infinity Wars as in plural, not Infinity War, because Avengers 3 is called Avengers Infinity War. They said that Avengers 4 is going to be called something different because the story is so different, but that's mostly because Avengers 3 is more of a heist film. It's like a 70s heist film because Thanos' quest in the Infinity Gauntlet saga is a 70s story, and he has to steal all the gems to form the gauntlet, so it would make sense that it's a heist film. The fourth film is more like the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, which is the story of the Avengers fighting him and getting the gauntlet off of his hand with the help of the Guardians of the Galaxy. The collective cosmic concepts, it's almost like the universe itself versus Thanos, like everything and everyone in the universe versus Thanos trying to get him to take off the Infinity Gauntlet. So it sounds like when Avengers 4 is done, what they'll bill them as, like when they try to package the movie in a 2 DVD set, like buy both movies because it's kind of like a 2-part story, even though technically the titles are different. They'll just call it Avengers: The Infinity Wars, and that'll be like the title of the box set. But obviously you have 10 years of Marvel movies building towards this, so they're going to try and sell some crazy Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3 collective box set. Let me know in the comments, though, what do you think about Jeremy Renner and Anthony Mackie both separately saying Avengers Infinity Wars as in plural, and what that says about the title of Avengers 4? The other funny thing you may have noticed during all that Black Panther footage is that one of the comic book panels of the Avengers fighting each other has Hawkeye in it, and he's a Skrull. It's like revealed as a Skrull Hawkeye fighting the other Avengers. So you're like, wait a minute, this is studio-produced material, meaning that somebody had to approve this. Why is there a Skrull in this footage? Does that mean that Hawkeye is going to be the Skrull in the Avengers team? Because during the Captain Marvel movie, they're going to reveal the Skrulls of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It makes sense that you tee up something as big as that it turns out that one of the characters that we've been watching this whole time is secretly a Skrull, and it's sort of a version of Secret Invasion without actually doing that storyline. So just let me know in the comments if one of the characters on the Avengers or one of the good characters has been a Skrull this whole time. Who do you think that it is? Do you think it's Hawkeye, or do you think that it's somebody else? There's a new round of that Infinity Gauntlet giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment about Marvel-related stuff on the video. Congratulations to the winner from my last video, Oathkeeper. Please private message me so I can get your contact details. I'll just name a new winner when I post new Avengers. I know a lot of you have been making some requests about doing a Hawkeye video because of his different costume and persona. But click here to learn about all the Vibranium upgrades that people are getting during Infinity War, and click here for brand new Flash. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.